I was born on December 17th, 1924. My parents named me Yukiko, or Child of Snow. Most people just called me Yuki. My younger brother Tomio and I were Nisei, the children of Issei immigrants. My father had been a publisher of a Japanese newspaper back in Vancouver. My mother was a koto player. We all used to live in a comfortable home in Vancouver's Japantown. On July 4th, 1942, months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, my family left our home for the last time. I was 17 years old. Monday, July 6th, our first day in Slocan City. It's practically a ghost town. Silver miners lived here once, a long time ago. We're in Bay Farm Camp, half a mile from the hotel, sharing a 16 by 16 hut with another woman, Maria, and her twin babies, Bobby and Elsie, and Oji-san, her grandfather. Immediately on entering, there is a long, narrow table with two long benches that we share with Maria's family. Our kitchen is a wood stove and a basin on a stand for washing. We have 2 bunk beds for 4 people. Our things are stuffed in apple boxes. Clothes, towels, books. Tomio sleeps with his toy cars. My diary and pencil are under my scrunched up dress that I use for a pillow. If not for the partition in the center of each hut separating the beds, we wouldn't have any privacy at all. Before Dad was taken away, he said he didn't think women and kids would have to leave, but if we did, he said we should only take what we could not part with. For us, the essentials were not just clothes and supplies, but also books and music. They were a daily part of our lives, and Dad could not see us going without. Tomio's turning 4. He drew a picture of our dog Skip with dots around the eyes. I stuck it on the wall with cooked rice for glue. He said Skippy was crying. Mostly he draws on the ground with a stick. For Mama and other Issei, everything is arigatai. We're alive, we're together, we're healthy. Thursday, December 17th. Dad made it to my birthday. His present was a poem he wrote for me. Mostly English, Ramaji. Dad was happy to see we'd bought the small record player. Every night before bed, he sits with his eyes closed and listens. I think he's pretending we're home. Mama said I should show Tomio how to color the Union Jack red, white, and blue. It's her way of saying, everything is fine. We are Canadians, and this is still our country. She's quite different from the other mothers. She tries hard to speak English. She and I read a Child's Garden of verses to Tomio every night. Maria's husband had a bad accident at his road camp. He's been in the hospital at New Denver for months. She spends a lot of time sitting on her bed, turning her wedding ring around her finger, the babies crying and the laundry piling up. There are moments when I look at the mountains, and it's so beautiful I could cry. Then I remember why we're here, and I do. I miss our home, my room, my desk, the artwork, the grandfather clock. It never occurred to me just how big our house was. Dad had a library full of Japanese books and encyclopedias. People came to hear Mama play her koto, and we put extra chairs in the living room. Our dining room wasn't used unless we had guests. It's not like we were rich. It was just a normal house. You don't realize what you take for granted until it's gone. August 24th, 1943. A few people arrived today. I searched for Vancouver friends as they traveled. Most were strangers. The Issei just looked matter-of-fact, as usual, no matter what. One little boy looked afraid. Then guess what? Tak Tanaka. He jumped off and didn't look afraid at all. Tak's family left Vancouver before ours, but I had no idea where they'd gone. I was so surprised I could hardly speak, and my cheeks got hot when he waved at me. I've always known him through church. He's good looking. One time, when I was singing a solo and playing the piano, he was looking at me seriously, and when I noticed, he grinned and winked. I do like Tak. He's funny and sincere. I was wondering if I'd ever see him again when all this happened. We've settled into a routine. It's over a year without education, and now I'm teaching at the newly built Pine Crescent School. Tak got a job in the grocery store, and he helps me teach little kids how to read. There wouldn't be a school, or a kindergarten, or bathhouses, or outhouses, or anything if it weren't for the shipbuilders. Their tools built everything, even the square wash basins. Some of my students have chosen English names, and won't use their Japanese ones, like Aiko Suzuki, for example. She goes by Geraldine now. The children are hiding their Japaneseness. That's what it takes to protect themselves. During lunch, I see them wanting to trade rice balls for peanut butter sandwiches. The one place we can truly be ourselves is the bathhouse. Men on one side, women on the other. When Tomio was 4, he went on either side, but now he goes with Dad and Tak Noji-san. We come several times a week with our basins, soap, and washcloth. People are generally polite not to be the first ones in. I like the feel of the pumice stone Mama brought from Japan. It's light and porous, perfect for calluses. The water is scalding hot. Once we're submerged up to our necks, worries lift off like steam. It's the best thing. We talk and swap gossip, or we say nothing, and everything is okay. The missionaries came with us and live in a big house. Miss Foster, Miss Heaps. Grace Tucker is small like us. She used to take koto lessons from Mama. She's working day and night with politicians like Andrew Bruin in Ottawa. She's noble and gentle and aristocratic and funny and works her heart out fighting for us. We'll always love her. We'll never forget her. We may be cut off from the world, but news travels. We know how the country sees us. The signs in Vancouver told us we were hated. Since we've been here, nothing has changed. The newspapers tell us so. Politicians say so. Movies play in the Oddfellows Hall. Newsreels are first. We're desperate for word of the war, or any sign that it will ever be over. We all just want to go home. News from the war in Asia is unbearable. I saw a Japanese soldier beheading a prisoner who was kneeling in front of him. Right before my eyes. I covered my face. I felt like screaming and running out of the hall and out of the camp and out of the world. Canada says we're Japs, but we're not. We're not. I had a fight with Talk. He said that the government sold our houses, so even if the war ended, we couldn't go home. I don't believe it. And then, just as I got up to march out, Talk reached for my arm and said, whatever happens, he just wanted to be with me. He asked me to marry him. Dad says I'm too young. Mama said nothing. Tomio said, you can't go away, Yuki. I said, I'm your sister forever, Tomio. Even if I get married. Maria just clapped her hands. I told Dad Canadian, and he and Oji-san nodded. Talk and I are married. It was a quiet, lovely ceremony. Harry Aoki, Talk's oldest friend, came to see us on his way to Alberta. He played his harmonica for us. It's not how I envisioned a wedding when I was a little girl, but it was beautiful. We had it in the Anglican church in Slocan. Mama made me. Dad traded some books for the cloth. It's simple, and tomorrow I will wear it as I go to get water. but today it is my wedding dress, and I cannot love it more. Tuck shares my bunk bed. Tomio keeps peeking at us. Privacy? What's that? Monday, September 24th, 1945. It's been 3 weeks since Japan surrendered. It's true. All of it. The government did sell our homes, and businesses, the fishing boats, everything. The war is ended. Democracy is ended too. We're being urged to sign away our lives. Either go to Japan or go east of the Rockies. Deportation or dispersal, that's the choice. Cities and towns are closing their doors to us. Dad says we shouldn't stay in a country that hates us. Families are being torn apart. None of us are going home. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I can't believe it. The government sold all our homes. Dad's printing business, the Tanaka's berry farm, fishing boats, hotels, stores, everything. It's all gone. We're being urged to sign away our lives and agree to be shipped to Japan. Japan? That's not our country. Either go to Japan or go east of the Rockies. It would be easy to sign their papers, but we tried and tried to show them we were loyal, to say that this is our home. What would it say to them if we left now? Tuck and I go to Alberta to join Tuck's family. His mother, his uncle Alex, his aunt, and their 2 children. We sleep in an old chicken coop. It's the only place we can have privacy. Or we can go into the potato cellar, which is dank and disgusting with rotting potatoes. Not romantic. Tuck's mother and his uncle's family are in the shack. It's got an extra room, and Tuck says it's better than it used to be when he left. The conditions were beyond belief in 1942, and still are in 1945. We're treated like slaves. Long days of hard labor in the heat, with nothing to drink but slough water. Uncle Alex says they're not going further east because they might get their farm or some land back someday. Tuck said that in 1942, they had to lug buckets of water from the slough, strain through cotton cloths, have the coal stove going, and boil and boil. But now there is a trench from the irrigation ditch. Near the cistern, the trench is filled with pebbles and sand that filters the water. And there's a pump. But there are still bugs, and sometimes we pump out a frog. We still have to boil and boil. I'll never waste water again. I miss Mama. She never ever complained about anything. I can hear her telling me, "We are alive, Yuki-chan. We can breathe. We have food. Arigatai." I wonder if she's just become silent, like Tak's mother. Sometimes I'm glad they went to Japan. I'd rather miss them than see them living like this. These spring days, thinning in the dust storms, we're so dirt-caked and tired, it feels like we're turning into ghosts. Some nights, it feels as if no time has passed at all before the sun rises and we have to return to the fields. Not even sleep is an escape. Our mattresses are infested with bed bugs. No matter what we do, we can't get rid of them. We prefer sleeping on the table. The bugs leave 2 holes where they bite. You can see the blood when you scratch. Aki is catching sparrows at night on the top of the ladder in the barn. I was horrified at first. The birds don't move when he covers the flashlight with a piece of red glass. He tears their heads off, pushes his thumb on their breasts and skins them. You'd be surprised how much meat there is on a sparrow. They taste a bit gamey. I'm starving for decent food. Things we used to eat in Vancouver that I can only dream about. Kamaboko and norimaki and mochi. I sometimes make tempura. We're mixing barley with the long, dry Chinese rice. Uncle Alex sent Aki on his bike to buy rice from the Chinese restaurant in Raymond. Uncle and Auntie make shoyu. Without Mama, Dad, and Tomio, there's nothing now. Uncle Alex and his family have been farmers for generations. Uncle Alex still hopes he'll get their farm back, but Talk says we should forget about it. We're near a practice range for the Royal Canadian Air Force. Aki said the planes used to practice their bombing runs, and a mistime drop might land a bomb right in their fields or the neighbors. He said it happened more than you'd think. When Talk has free time, he tries to make the chicken coop livable. The floor, a window, and he fixes the farm machinery. I don't sing, but I can tell Talk is happy when he's whistling. What's gonna happen to my baby? There's no hiding it anymore, now that I've started to show. Everyone is excited, but not as much as Talk and me. Talk wants a son. I want a little girl. We can hardly wait, especially me. We've gone through dozens of names. I bet the baby will love music. I've started singing again, to make sure. Nen nen korori. I've been having cramps and some bleeding. Dr. Harris said I mostly just needed rest. He noticed my bed bug bites. I was embarrassed by that, and by this place. We lost the baby, the boy, our son. I can't write about it. From here, a woman from Tashme and her baby both died in childbirth. Pop just holds me. He doesn't say a word. He keeps staring at the crib he built. He asked me today if I wanted to put the crib outside. I said no. Talk's brother Jim came by in his Canadian Army uniform on his way to the Far East. He says we should go to Ontario. Talk says we have to stay here because his mother needs him here. But I need to get out of Raymond. Off this farm. I can't stand it anymore. My baby choked in the umbilical. If I'd been in a hospital, they could have done a C-section. April 9th, 1949. We heard it on the radio while we were packing. All restrictions are lifted. We can even go to Vancouver. But why would we? Why would any of us? I wonder who's sleeping in my bedroom. Who's got all our things? Who has Mama's treasures from Japan? It's 4 years since the war ended. Has it only been 4 years? It's been a lifetime. On our last day, we stood outside in a circle and sang. Talk's mom can hardly walk, but she hobbled to the road and watched the car till we couldn't see her anymore. I was just finishing up midterms when Mom texted me that Grandma Yuki died. It wasn't unexpected, but still. On the flight over, I kept thinking how lively she'd been 10 years ago, before her dementia got so bad. It's the first time I've ever been in one of these long-term care places. So spooky. Grandma's room, if you can call it that, is just a curtain around her bed, a nightstand, and a small wardrobe. I wish I'd known my Issei great-grandparents. Grandma Yuki said they were royalty, totally polite, tender towards young and old. She said she never heard a complaint or came across a bitter Issei. The Issei lost their life's work, but more than losing belongings, she said they lost belongingness. She said they died across Canada, one here, one there, without their friends in places just like this, without their food, or language, or consolation. To this day, there's no Japantown in Canada. Mom and Grandma took me to the Royal Ontario Museum when I was 10, and there was Grace Tucker's koto on display behind the glass. Here she is getting the Order of Canada. It says on the back, "Our beloved Miss Tucker lived to 101. She was the church with us, and most of the church was not." Japanese-Canadian war vets who became trailblazers. Grandma Yuki told me all about them. Tom Shoyama became Deputy Minister of Finance in Ottawa, bringing in universal healthcare. Frank Moritsugu was the first Japanese-Canadian columnist, writing for a national newspaper, the Toronto Star. The tallest man is Roger Obata, one of the leaders of Redress. Grandma Yuki said he was a bulldog. He would never give up. When Mom started school, she was the third Kate in her class, but the only Asian child. She didn't think it was strange. For her, that's how life had always been. That was typical of the Sansei. 90% married out, as they say. Anyone over 16 had to carry these, but Grandma said it made her brother-in-law, Jim Tanaka, mad that he had to. He'd proved his loyalty by fighting in the war. Why was he still being branded as an enemy, or second class? He said the Japanese Americans had it a lot better. They got to go home. They still have their Japantowns. She said the dispersal policy really worked. We disappeared and became the only Jap in town. Tomio came to see Grandma Yuki a few times, twice before I was born. He never wanted another dog after Skippy. Mom emailed him about Grandma Yuki's death. He regretted he didn't come to visit after she didn't recognize him. I wish I'd come to see her too, whether or not she knew who I was. Every time Mom visited, Grandma Yuki wanted to know where Grandpa Tuck was. Maybe she's with him now. Maybe they're both here and happy. I hope so. Oh, here's my great-grandmother's floating rock from Japan. Maybe I could keep it to scrub my feet. It's supposed to be good for calluses. What if we could get rid of prejudice that easily? She would have kept this to remind her of the public baths. Mom said she's sorry she wasn't able to give Grandma Yuki her last bath before she died. It's a Japanese thing. Dear Yuki, I miss you and Tomio. We haven't found my father, but Oji-san and I won't give up. There's a stream near our place that I call Bendemeer Stream. Remember the creek? Just because the war was over didn't mean my grandparents felt safe or welcome. A.W. Neal spoke about Japanese Canadians in the House of Commons as heathens and cancer. T.J. O'Neill called them yellow devils. Thomas Reed said they were only one generation removed from savagery. You don't forget words like that.
Through mountain forest, snow deep on branches, trees unbent, young, strong child of snow. Itsukushi, yasashi, Yukiko.
If you can't take your piano with you, you take this, the quintessential instrument of dispossessed musicians. Imagine Harry Aoki playing this for a wedding in Slocan. Looks like he's also in southern Alberta, winning second place twice in CJOC Radio's talent contest. Second place twice? Maybe they couldn't have let a Japanese Canadian have first place. I wonder whose rattle this was. Mom's? The stillborn baby in Raymond? I wonder if Mom even knows she could have had an older brother. Just another thing they didn't talk about. In Slocan, I used to dream about this day. I always thought I would go home to Vancouver, that life would pick up where it stopped and everything would be as it was. I haven't had that dream in a very long time. And now that the day has finally come, all I really want is to be welcome. My great-grandma's grade 1 reader. When I think about what you went through, Grandma Yuki, everything you lost, Your country betrayed you, but you stood by it. You never wavered, even when it meant denying who you were. To be Canadian, you rejected being Japanese. I don't know if I would have made a choice like that. I think I have to make a different choice. I know Mom never learned to speak Japanese, but maybe I should.